Good evening and welcome to Lanarkshire Live with me, Katrina Renton. We've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. Coming up, Martin Kirkcallan and Scott Brazil from Reeltime Music are going to be telling us how young people can get involved in the music industry. And after that, we've got Emma Caldwell, who's going to be walking the Great Wall of China. And she's going to come in and tell us why she would want to do something as brave as that. And David Lawley will be here to give us his usual weekly roundup of the showbiz gossip. But before all of that, first of all, we'd like to have a look at the headlines of what's making the news in Lanarkshire this week. Now, the East Kilbride News is looking at council backing secures ice rink. The future of East Kilbride Ice Rink is secure. South Lanarkshire Council has confirmed it is in the final throes of signing a 10-year lease for the site with the owners of the shopping centre, the Scottish Retail Property Limited Partnership. The Lanark Gazette is leading with welcome for coal plan change. The decision by Scottish Coal to withdraw from 2/3 of its planned Poniel opencast mining area was welcomed this week by Douglas-based protest group Upper Ward Against Pollution. The Hamilton Advertiser is leading with Dad 21 dies in head-on crash. The funeral of a young Hamilton dad who was killed in a head-on road smash was held yesterday. And the Motherwell Times is leading with give him a break. Neighbours are calling on a court to scrap an antisocial behaviour order imposed on a Motherwell father of 3. So now I'm joined by Martin Kirkcallan and Scott Brazil, who are both working with Reeltime Music Project. Hello boys, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Excellent. Well, first of all, I would like to just ask you, what is Reeltime Music?
It's a project that started about 8 years ago now, and it was basically a youth group at the time. And in the youth group there was 2 bands. There was a band that I was in, and there was a band called Rain that the studio manager now, Ryan Curry, was involved in. And basically from that we realised that in the local area of Motherwell, Newthill and Bellshill, there wasn't much a music scene for young bands, for rehearsal space and recording. We had to travel to Glasgow, and obviously that was travelling expenses, and it's a lot dearer in there as well. So we thought we'd try and start a project where we could bring it back to home and hopefully start something up for young people in the local area.
I mean, Martin, that's a big thing for somebody young to do, to take on that sort of responsibility. How did you go about getting funding and things for that?
Well, it took many years. Actually, it's only been the last 2 years that the studios eventually got built and equipped. So the 6 years before that is basically getting together a management team, which started off maybe about 10 young people, but obviously people get jobs, university, blah, blah, and move on. So there's actually only 2 original members left, which is myself and Ryan. But we have got a lot of help from Ian Anderson, who was the local education officer in the building where the studio is based in Newthill. So he started the project and helped us get funding from the council and the Princess Trust and that. So we got like a simple PA system to start off with and some amps. And from there on we just kept on building and getting more people involved with the project at the lot more experience with funding and that. And eventually we got a large sum of money off the Scottish Arts Council, which paid for the construction of the control room, the live room in the studio. So that was about £50,000. And then North Lanarkshire Forward and North Lanarkshire Key Fund, also we got funding from them, large amounts of money, and that paid for the equipment to be installed. So that's kind of the background in that.
That's incredible for somebody, obviously, you're, how old are you?
I'm 24.
For somebody of your age, that is a pretty big project to have taken on, I would have thought.
It was a great experience. I ended up going to university as well, but I still stayed in contact with the project as much as I could. And it's paid off at the end now. I'm working in the studio.
Quite an achievement. And Scott, your band's involved in the project. What do you tell us about first of all, what's your band called?
Well, I'm in a few bands. One of the main band's the Fearless Pigeons that we play with, and we've been with Reeltime for the start. I mean, I walked in when I was 13 before the studio was built, and talked to Ryan about getting a gig, and then been there ever since. And now we've joined the management committee. It's brilliant, but it's the best thing that's ever been built about here.
So how did you find out about it?
As I say, it was just word of mouth at first. I mean, I was up there before the studio and that was built, but talking to Ryan, getting his gigs and that. But then after that, it's been mind blowing how many people and that's coming, like friends and just everybody. It's great.
And how old are you now?
I'm 18 now, so I've been there since using it since about 15.
That's a long time to be involved in something as well. Good. You must love it.
It's amazing. It's brilliant.
You can just tell from actually your reaction there that how much it means to you. And how many young people are involved in the project?
Well, our clientele with bands is huge. I mean, we get bands now from all over, Curlook, Airdrie, Coatbridge, obviously the local bands from Motherwell, Newthill and Bells Hill, but we're getting people far and wide, but just hopefully it keeps spreading and keeps taking off.
Absolutely. And I mean, do you think this could be a springboard for people to actually launch themselves into the music industry, that, you know, you're giving them their first opportunity to experience being in a record studio, understanding the technical equipment and understanding the whole situation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any band that does come in to record, it's totally relaxed atmosphere. Me and Ryan always have a laugh with them, you know, and just totally get them in a comfortable zone. And it's totally, this is what it's for. It's an experience to give to young bands. They can walk into a professional studio and, you know, not feel very, very nervous or, you know, bemused by it all, and see what goes on behind the scenes and that.
I mean, is it expensive? I mean, is it expensive to get involved in this?
No, I mean, the project itself is aimed at the opportunities for young people. So for a recording session, it's like £11 an hour. But obviously, if you're a student or at school or maybe in low income, you get a discount on that. So it takes your price range right down.
And is that part of the reason why you set it up, to make it more accessible to people?
Yeah. I mean, it was just from my experience and Ryan's experience of going into Glasgow, and obviously they charge you a lot of rates. Like maybe a 3-hour session for rehearsing, there's maybe about £30. So we were like, well, we'll aim ours maybe about £18, and then obviously there's discounts on that if you're a school pupil.
That's absolutely, I mean,
so
that's
it's a lot
excellent.
cheaper.
I mean, Scott, do you think you would have been able to get involved if it had been something that had been much more expensive, or?
I mean, no, I mean, like, as you say, we sometimes, when I play another band, we sometimes use the facilities in Glasgow. I mean, we get a practice up there for £12 up at Newthill, but then over in Glasgow we're £35 once. But I mean, the opportunities it gives people, like, an example of that is a band, Pleading Sanny. I mean, they started a year ago. A year later, they won the Battle of the Bands in North Lanarkshire. And same way myself, I mean, our band, we started as nothing, then in the summer we're supporting Snow Patrol. So it just gives you an idea how much it's moved young people on. There's millions of examples of people it's done it for, so it's the best thing that's been organised out here.
I mean, that's interesting that you said that about it being the best thing that's been organised around here. I mean, this afternoon you had a very special visitor, didn't you?
Yes,
Right Honourable John Reid, and the Secretary of State for Health, and he was visiting your project. I guess that's actually where he comes from, isn't it?
Well, yes, he actually, although he spends most of his time in London now, he's originally from Newthill. So, and actually, in actual fact, when we started the project, one of the first letters of support we got was from John Reid, obviously before his stature now. So it was quite fitting to get him back, and you can see all the studio finished and that, and he was overwhelmed. And he's actually a dab hand on the guitar as well, so he was giving us a few songs, which was very entertaining.
That's good to know, but I think there's a really important message that I hope he's taken away with him this afternoon as well, that where you give young people good things to do, that must be reducing all sorts of the other things that politicians are always banging on about youth crime and there being problems.
I've seen that today.
Yep.
Did he comment on that to you at all? Did he say, you know, this is a great project to get young people something to do and give you an interest in?
I think he thoroughly enjoyed this. He's supposed to be there for an hour and he's probably still up there.
The main thing he said as well is he just likes to see people having fun as well, and it's not all, you know, politicians and, oh no, it's John Reid, you know. He came in, he had a laugh with all the bands, and he actually ended up playing with a few of them, you know, strumming on songs. He's like, this is great how people can just come up here and relax and enjoy music.
That's fantastic, and it's fantastic that such a senior politician has actually got that message, because in Lanarkshire earlier on this week, a launch was being made of trying to find projects for young people to get them more involved and to cut youth crime. But it sounds like you guys are ahead of the game there, that you've actually got something going that people want to get involved in and develop their skills.
Definitely. I mean, the studios are no smoking, obviously no drinking place. So when bands come up, obviously the strict rules apply. But this is always, we're trying to promote a alcohol-free music lifestyle. I know it's still rock and roll and all the thing, the cliche stuff that goes with it, but it's just come up and enjoy the music. Most importantly, definitely.
But before you two got involved, did you know how talented you were going to be? Did you know that you were going to be able to get into bands? I mean, Scott, you're in lots of bands. Did you know that you had those skills? Has this brought it out of you?
I mean, the thing is, well, with Reeltime, I mean, there's playing an instrument and then there's playing a band. I mean, you can learn how to play an instrument, then if you go to a band, it's a totally different environment. But up there, up at Reeltime, you can just go up and say it's just a great environment to play in. I mean, sometimes people think you're nervous about going to a big recording studio and everything, but up there it's just it's just Martin and Ryan. I mean, it's just easy going.
So there's something for everybody as well then, if you can, if you maybe don't fancy a band lifestyle, but you fancy getting involved and maybe learning a musical instrument, that's there too.
And even the equipment itself, we've started working with projects like Access and that's based in Motherwell, and where people from that project come up and learn how to use the mixing desk and obviously learn how to do a professional recording of a band and all that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for people with it.
So I'm assuming now that all of our viewers have been watching this, and younger viewers might be thinking, this is something I really want to get involved in. And I know that we've got a telephone number that is going to be appearing on the screen shortly for people to be able to phone you and find out more about it. And I mean, I'm just I'm thrilled to hear how much you've got out of it and that you're learning so much. And I mean, what's your message to other young people living in the area? What should they be doing?
Come up and check it out, definitely. I mean, even if there's bands in recording or rehearsing, there's nothing to say you can't come in, sit in with me and Ryan and watch the bands, through the control room window or whatever, and come in and see how recordings are done. We put band nights on as well. We try and put band nights on the centre once a month. Come up, enjoy the bands that play that as well. So.
Martin and Scott, I would love to keep talking to you because you're really inspirational, but unfortunately that's us that have run out of time for talking to you. We've got to go to a short break now, but coming up after the break I'll have Emma Caldwell in with me, who's going to be walking the Great Wall of China, and I'm going to be asking her why. And I've got David Lawley coming up with his usual regular roundup of the showbiz chat. Come back soon.